Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am Carrie Dela Cruz, very happy to be back with you today, broadcasting from my usual office in my usual comfy chair. And who knows, Facebook just had other ideas for me yesterday. So I'm really sorry that I missed out with you guys yesterday, but that only means today is going to be an even better show. At least that's what I'm telling myself. So today's program is all about what kind of a parent are you? Firm, fair, flimsy, or friendly? Okay, now before I get too far into it, and I see my mama popping up. Thank you for being here, Mom. And I'm hoping more and more people begin to filter in as they figure out that, yes, I am right back where I should be at my designated time. So before I get too far into this, I think it's important to say, look, what I'm going to be talking about today is nothing that you could not have heard from somebody else, all right? Because the theory that I'm going to be talking about today isn't my theory. You could talk to a psychologist or a behaviorist or any other kind of itchist, and they would tell you how it is that they made the connection that I'm going to be talking about today. What is unique to this show is my particular take on it, okay? So understand that this is not necessarily original information. It's out there, people have made the connection, but it might be original to you, and certainly my perspective on it is going to be original to you. Ultimately, no matter who you hear it from, I hope that the message you get is one that says, I'm getting something here that I can take and use in my recovery, because that's what this is all about, all right? So, the goal is to be able to connect the dots. That's what I think, okay? To connect the dots between what you're feeding and what's eating you, okay? Because that's what this show is all about, right? What you're feeding and what's eating you. And here's a little hint for you, okay? I hear a lot of people say, if I just knew why I ate so much, or I drank, or I spent too much money, or if I just knew why I went to the drive-through, the fast food restaurant, or why I don't do what I should do, right? Have you heard that? If I just knew why, I'm sure I'd be better. Well, here's a little hint for you. Today is going to be a really good shot at the why for you. So pay attention, because this could be a big part of the why that's eating you up, all right? So let me get started here and just say, again, I'm calling this show, what kind of a parent are you? Firm, fair, flimsy, or friendly, okay? I get it. Some of you may say, well, I'm a combination of all of those things as a parent. And some of you may say, I'm not a parent at all. But wait, this show is for you, I promise. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to throw out parental or parenting terms as I shuffle my papers, parenting terms that you often hear, okay? We've got authoritarian, authoritative, punitive, permissive, dismissive. What does all that stuff really mean? I mean, we might be able to define it. We might be able to look at it and go, well, this one means this, and this means means this, and this one means you don't let them get away with anything, and this one means they get away with everything, and this. Okay, to me, some of those terms, like many psychological theories, can get muddled by the terminology, and we miss the point, right? We get so caught up in the meaning of the words that we don't understand how it applies to us. And so I'm going to kind of step back and demystify it a little bit for you guys today, all right? I can't keep them straight. So I'm going to talk about the techniques and the behaviors of whatever you want to call them, and to help you understand, are they healthy or unhealthy techniques and behaviors, okay? That's really the goal. Now, whether or not you have kids, you were a kid. Isn't that true? I mean, we were all kids once. And so we were all parented. Whether we grew up in a single parent home or a two-parent home or a grandparent home or a guardian home, there were people in authority who were in the role of parenting us, right? So this applies to and affects every one of us in that regard, all right? The person or people who were tasked with raising you and parenting you were in charge of meeting your needs, helping you to grow, teaching you the rules, right? Those are like the basic things. needs and goals and rules. Okay, so there's all types of parents and all kinds of different ways to achieve those ends. And some parents are more effective at it than others. Some really leave you lacking or wanting. Some miss the mark entirely, okay? So this is not a perfect science by any stretch of the imagination. And especially if, you've never been a parent. You know what they say, it's not a parent until you're a parent. Yeah. So anyway, the point is, hopefully you learn as you go, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're so blinded by our own BS that we don't catch on. But that's not entirely what I'm talking about today anyway. I'm not really necessarily talking about you as a parent to your kids. There's a little hint for you, okay? I think it's fair to say that there are some parents that we'd say are really great parents, right? Oh man, they're just great parents. And some that are just not so great. We just go, yeah, those are not great parents, right? I think that's fair to say. When we were kids, we did not get to choose our parents. Nobody gets to choose their parents, all right? We can choose kind of some of the adults that we want to hang around with a lot of the time. We might have surrogate moms. Like I remember Jenny across the street. Not that my mom was bad, but something about, other people's parents, sometimes we glom onto them. Okay, Jenny across the street. I would love to go clean her house, but I hated to clean my own, right? So, we can have surrogate parents and adults and people in authority. And, and I remember Donna, and, some parents are more, legalistic and other parents are really easygoing and stuff like that, right? So you look for what you don't have quite often. All right. But the point is we don't get to decide who our parents are and how they will parent us, right? And I think that for better or worse, we learn a lot from those people in our lives. And we learn a lot from all the people in authority in our lives, whether they're teachers or just adults, right? Neighbors, whatever it is, older siblings, right? We learn a lot from those people. Some of us learn what not to do, right? A lot of us, boy, we'll just sit back and say, oh, I am never going to do that when I become a parent. When I grow up, I'm not going to do that to my kids, right? We make all sorts of pronouncements, right? And we decide what kind of parents we're going to be. Oh, yeah, my parents were terrible, so I'm going to be a great parent. Yeah, right. And by the way, Mom, I'm not saying you were a bad parent. No, it's not the point. I'm kind of saying we in the general sense, not we as in the me, okay? All right. Now, some of us became parents, right? And when we did so, we do what was done to us, right? So some of us do what was done to us, and some of us teach what we learned, right? And we show what was shown to us, all right? However that works out, that's how that works. And basically, as the poem goes, we learn what we lived, and we live what we learned, okay? And what we do with that is what makes us different. Well, how does that affect all of us now? Because that's really what this is about. How does how we were parented and or how we parented our own kids affect us now, in the here and now? What does it have to do with our obesity or food addiction issues or anything else? What does all of that, what does how we were raised have to do with our lives now? Well, here's what I want to do. I want to put out some traits for you, some what I would call parenting traits. All right. And you can decide if your own parents possessed these traits or didn't, if you felt that they were healthy and positive traits or negative. And you can also look at them and see if you are a parent or a guardian or an authority figure, if you possess any of these traits, whether they be positive or negative. Okay. So here we go. Me and my lists, right? All right. So traits of parents, let's say consistent. There's consistent parents, fair, compassionate, reliable, open, good listeners, reassuring, level-headed. They educate and instruct and encourage. So I'm going to say that's like a pretty positive list of traits. Those are things I think most of us would look at and say, yeah, I would want to be that kind of parent, and I would want my parent to be like that. And I could see where my parents were like that or weren't like that or whatever, okay? Do you guys agree? Go ahead and, yeah, give me some thumbs up or whatever. This makes sense. Okay. Now, there are other character traits of which, our parents might have been accused of possessing, and myself included, right? I might have exhibited some of these less than desirable or less than positive traits, okay? Were your parents really good at making you feel guilty? Sending you on a guilt trip. Good old maternal guilt. How about that? Did your parent believe that they were your friend? So they put friendship in front of parenting all the time. Maybe they were inconsistent. Sometimes it was wrong, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes you get in trouble, sometimes you don't. Did it feel like they were unfair? Okay, beyond the usual teenage angst, it's not fair. Maybe there was an unfairness to it. Maybe the way in which they raised, if you have siblings, was different, not just because you had an older or younger sibling, but maybe there was an inequity or an inherent unfairness that you perceived. And sometimes, and our perception is what matters here, by the way. How we perceive it. It may not have ever been their intention, their motivation, or, what anyone else might consider to be any of these things. It's just what we were perceiving and picking up, okay? Did your parent use fear as a way to keep you in check and keep you in line or keep you safe? Use fear. Was your parent weak? Did you feel like you couldn't depend on your parent or rely on your parent to stick up for you or to defend or protect your family? All right? Maybe they were weak. Maybe your parent was a bully. Maybe your parent, bullied you and that's how they ran the house. Maybe they used punishment without reward, okay? And maybe it was abusive punishment. It is possible. Maybe they were overly dramatic. Everything was drama. Everything was a catastrophe. Everything was about them. And so you were in a heightened state of emotion all the time. Maybe they were unemotional and unaffectionate, right? And it was a very kind of strict and stoic house. Maybe you were given orders. There was no give and take. There was no two-way discussion. There were orders that you had to meet and fulfill. Or demands that were made. Demands made of you that may or may not have felt reasonable to you. Maybe they humiliated you or shamed you, right? Okay, that happens. We see that on Facebook now. Humiliating and shaming kids. It started with animals and it moved very quickly to kids, didn't it? All right. Maybe so those are kind of like behaviors and tactics. Now let's talk about some of the techniques for discipline. Maybe your parent was not a disciplinarian at all. Maybe there were no consequences for behaviors. But ideally, we look at it and we go, okay, natural consequences. If you do something, you have to experience the consequences of the choices that you made, and that's a parenting style, okay? Maybe your parents spanked you. Maybe you spank your kids. Maybe timeout is your tool of choice, okay? Maybe timeout was used with you. Maybe your parent is a Disneyland parent. Maybe if you came from a broken home, especially, this is very common, and your parent that you don't live with wants to be considered favorable, and they want you to want to spend time with them. They're the Disneyland parent. It's always fun. There's never any trouble. It's always an environment of a gift giving or amusement for you, okay? That happens. Maybe the permissiveness. Like, okay, it's fine. You know what? Kids will be kids. You know what? I'd rather they drink in my house because I just know they're going to go out there and drink anyway. So why don't I let them drink under my roof? You know what? If they're just going to have sex, I'd rather they have safe sex under my roof, right? Even if they're underage, stuff like that. Permissive. Yeah, you know what? I can't tell them it's wrong. I did it myself when I was a kid, all right? Inconsistency. Oh boy. Inconsistent. Either they don't follow through and they say, or else. If you do this or else, and then there is never an or else, ever. Or they could be worn down. No, okay, fine, whatever, right? Inconsistency. Kids know when they can wear their parents down, and they know when a parent is not going to follow through, don't they? So that behavior of being inconsistent or being worn down is a weapon that can be used against you if you are a parent, or that you could have used against your own parent. Or they just give in. They just give in because they're like, I don't want to fight. I know where this is going to go. I'm just going to give in. And maybe they give in because they don't want to fight, or maybe they give in because they want to be liked, right? If I just give in, then I'll be considered the good parent instead of the parent that always has to enforce the laws, okay? Now, more behaviors. Maybe you come from a family of huggers, right? Huggers and touchers in a healthy way. Maybe you come from a family of touchers in an unhealthy way, right? Maybe there's some sexual abuse and molestation going on there, right? Maybe you had a standoffish family, like I mentioned, like maybe that they were very stoic and reserved and, okay, standoffish. It's like, I don't feel really comfortable touching you, reaching out to you, hugging you, right? Maybe your parents weren't demonstrative with one another, didn't kiss or hold hands in front of you, stuff like that. Maybe your parents were tucker-inners. That's what I called it, tucker-inners. Like my dad and my mom, they were tucker-inners. They'd tuck me into bed and say my prayers, and sometimes my dad would bounce me on the bed, and I loved that. Bounce me, daddy, you know. Tucker-inners, great memories for me, right? Non-physical, just they don't feel comfortable in their own skin. They don't, feel like they know how to approach you, so it's just better, we each keep our distance from each other. Talkers versus doers, right? They're all talk, but they never really follow through. And that can be very frustrating, right? Can you please just do what you said you were going to do instead of just talking about it? Maybe they were forgivers and forgetters, right? Or maybe they were rememberers and regretters. Or some combination of these things, all right? Are you guys following me? Why am I talking about these parenting characteristics, traits, behaviors, styles? Because, and here's the theory that's out there that is not my theory, but I want you guys to think about this. What sort of a parent are you to yourself given what you were taught by your own parents? So really, yes, it matters what kind of a parent you are if you have kids, okay? It does matter. And that would be a reflection. Either you said, oh, I'm never going to do what they did, or I'm always going to do what they did, right? But what kind of a parent are you with yourself? See, that's very interesting, isn't it? And maybe a connection you haven't drawn, or maybe a connection you have drawn, but you don't know where to go with it. How do you treat your obesity and your food addiction, right? Are you consistent or inconsistent? Are you a pushover? Are you easily worn down? Are there healthy boundaries or not? See what I'm saying? All right. Now, here's what I want to do. I kind of had this fun little moment. This is what I would call the Parenting Hall of Fame phrases, all right? And I'm going to throw these out there because guess what? You might have used them on yourself, not just your own kids, but yourself. Ready? This will hurt me more than it hurts you. Anybody? Anybody ever hear or use that one? Now, I want you to think about that as regards yourself. If you think that you're hurting someone else more than you, that you're going to hurt more than you're hurting somebody else, I think there's a little bit of confusion there, because it begs the question, why do it then, right? If it's going to hurt me more than it hurts you, well then why do it? Why hurt yourself? But how often do we do things where we claim we're trying to hurt somebody else, but we hurt ourselves? Okay, so think about that. I'll give you something to cry about. Anybody? I'll give you something to cry about. You going to cry? All right, so that means it better be pretty damn important if you're going to cry or show emotion or feel about it. So maybe you have decided that it's not okay to cry because that's a sign of weakness, or it could get worse. If I cry about this, oh my gosh, it's just going to get worse for me, so I better suck it up. Okay, how about this? That'll teach you. That'll teach you. Yep. Boy, I hope you learned your lesson on that one. That'll teach you. Oh my gosh, what? What did I just learn? What was I supposed to learn? Did you let that happen to you? Did you make that happen to me? Right? That'll teach you. Well, what if I didn't learn? Am I bad? Am I stupid? Is it going to happen to me again? You just sit there and think about what you've done. No pressure there, right? Because if I don't come up with the right answer, then I can't move, ever. Oh my gosh, pressure, I have to have the right answer. What is the right answer? What is the answer they're looking for? All right, so we get very good at finding the answer that someone else might be looking for so that we can move. But it really doesn't matter if it's the, quote, right answer or the wise answer or anything else. It's the answer they're looking for. People pleasers? Anybody? People pleasers? Okay. This is my personal favorite. Don't make me pull this car over. My dad used to do that with me. Okay. Don't make me pull this car over. That was enough for me. That was terrifying to me. Why? Because either A, I knew I was going to get spanked, or B, and this was the bigger thing, everybody driving by was going to know that I was getting in trouble. shame. Oh my gosh, public shame. That was big punishment for me. If anybody else saw me getting in trouble, public shame. Now, I'm sure my dad didn't mean it that way. He was frustrated. He couldn't contend with me and drive the car at the same time. It was always my brother's fault. By the way, I want to go on record as saying that, but still. It was hard to multitask, to drive and deal with us at the same time, okay? But the message I got was public shaming, okay? So maybe we shame ourselves. Don't make me pull this car over. If you're not doing it right, well, you should just be ashamed of yourself, and I'm going to hold you out there for the whole world to know. That's the distortion of the messages that we often have, all right? I brought you into this world, and I can take you out. Ooh, that's kind of scary, isn't it? Right? That's very threatening. That means shape up or ship out. Do not make me ... fill in the blanks. Oh my gosh, I'm responsible for how you feel. Oh my gosh. Right? If I'm responsible for how other people feel and they're going to be disappointed in me, oh my gosh, people pleaser again. When I was your age, comparison. I know parents do it to kind of demonstrate how different life is now and, oh, how much harder it was then and how much easier it is now and how you should appreciate this and that. Well, the bottom line is I wasn't alive when you were my age, okay? Any more than my kid was alive, when I was her age. See? Does that make sense? Okay. So the point is, how could we possibly know what we don't know if we don't live it? And yet, isn't that a way in which we as parents errantly attempt to teach our kids a thing or two? All right? When I was your age, which means, you know what? You just don't understand and you never will. You can't possibly ever understand. Well, that's kind of built-in failure, isn't it? I don't know. Keep your hands to yourself. This is from my coworker, by the way. That might just make sense. Mind your own business. Sweep your own side of the street. Keep your eyes on your own paper. That's just good advice. You know what? I'm going to send you to bed hungry if you don't. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to get to eat if I don't comply, if I don't apologize, if I don't follow the rules. I'm not going to get to eat. Therefore, I better make sure I'm always fed when I grow up. I will never go hungry. Okay? Clean your plate club. We've heard about that, right? Can't leave the table if you don't clean your plate. So we learn to clean our plate. I mean, that's an easy one. Because I said so. Because I said so. Well, that's an answer parents use to shut you up. We all do it. Because I said so, which means I don't want to explain it to you right now. I don't have a better answer for you right now. I don't want to reason with you. I don't want to listen to you. That can tell us, hey, the unintended consequence of that comment of a parent who might just be exhausted and not want to talk about it anymore is that you're not worth listening to. What you have to say doesn't matter. And if you're not them, if you're not your parent, or if you're not someone else, you don't matter. That's the unintended consequence of some of these Hall of Fame phrases that, parents learn in parenting school or something like that. Get over it. This is from my coworker. Just get over it. Snap out of it. Don't make such a big deal about it. Why should you care? What does this have to do with you anyway? Ooh, ouch, ouch, ouch. There's like so much going on there, right? Which tells you that you don't have a right to feel bad about something. Your rights don't matter. That there's something wrong with you. If you feel bad about something, you, quote, don't get over it when they think you should get over it. Oh my gosh. I know that the intention is to just make you feel better. That if you, quote, get over it and don't think about it, their goal as a parent, as an adult, is to just make you feel better and say, look, if you don't have to worry about it, you won't feel bad. But that is not what that message tells us, is it? That's not the message we get. I'll feel better. No, our message is, don't you know why I feel bad? Well, do we do this to ourselves? Suck it up and get over it. Don't make such a big deal out of it, right? We shut ourselves down. And that's what we feed, because that's what's eating us up, guys. If everyone else does it, would you want to too? Yes. That was an easy one, right? But we weren't allowed to say that or we'd get in trouble. If everyone else is doing it, well, yeah, I want to do what everyone else is doing. Yeah, I want to do what I think everyone else is doing, which is eating whatever the heck they want and not gaining any weight. I want to be naturally skinny just like them because everybody else is. And I don't want to have to work out because no one else has to work out. Yeah. You're darn tootin'. I want to do what everybody else does. And I don't care if they're going to walk off a pier or jump off a ledge or a cliff or anything. I don't care if it looks fun and, I want to do it. Okay, and that's what we do to ourselves. I'm going to do it because everybody else is doing it, whether they're doing it or not. That leads to really unhealthy behaviors, all right? I wouldn't have to, whatever, if you would just, ouch, if you would just hold up your end of the deal, I wouldn't be in this situation. Ouch. I mean, that's a lot of pressure for a little kid to be responsible for their adult parent. And that's what we do to ourselves. If you would just follow the directions from the doctor, then we wouldn't be in this mess and you wouldn't have an obesity issue. What's wrong with you, right? We're shaming ourselves, we're belittling ourselves, not encouraging ourselves. If you don't like it, you can just leave. Ooh, ouch. That one hurts, huh? My house, my rules. But can't we talk about the rules? I don't understand the rules, or what's the reason for the rules, or they're my rules. You know what? When you grow up and you have your own house, you can have your own rules, and nobody needs to understand your rules. They just have to follow them. Well, that could be very confusing to us. If we don't understand the rules, or if we don't understand why we need to do something, or what is the significance, are they there to protect us, or are they just there to punish us, right? Are they punitive, or is there a purpose? See, that doesn't always come through, because as parents, we get very tired, and our parents got very tired. And so we take these shortcuts that we figure they'll just know, the kids will just know, and our parents figured we would just know. And the bottom line is we don't just know, so we eat, because it's eating us up. And we say, why don't I know? I hurt, but I don't know why. I'm scared, but I don't know why. I keep feeling like I have to protect myself, but I don't know why. See what I'm saying? This comes from parenting. How we parent ourselves, how we parent our kids, and how we were parented. And I'm not here to say a parent was bad. I'm not here to say that your parent was terrible and bad and wrong. Our parents are parents, and I would say that most parents really are working hard to do the very best they can. And some of us don't think we can do better. Guess what? Guess who pays the price for that? Our kids and ourselves, don't we? If I could go back and take back some of the stuff I did, oh boy. But you can't. So the best thing you can do is to just do better now. Now that you know better, you can do better. And here, I think, is the goal of parenting yourself. Are you ready? Set some healthy boundaries. That was the job of the healthy parent that was raising you, okay? Maybe they didn't do it. Maybe they didn't implement boundaries to help you understand what was appropriate and what wasn't, what was safe and what wasn't, what made sense for you, what were you ready for, what weren't you ready for, right? Bringing you along and helping you and keeping you secure. Maybe they had boundaries that never, ever, ever moved, and they were more like borders or walls or jails or prisons, okay? So let's look at healthy boundaries. And if you're not sure how to create those, talk to a friend, talk to a parent out there whom you think is doing a really great job. Talk about healthy boundaries for living, okay? Consistency. Be consistent. If you say you're going to do something, do it. I've talked about this a lot. Show up, right? Do it. Be consistent. If it's a problem today, it needs to be a problem tomorrow. If it's acceptable today, it's acceptable tomorrow. However, if it was acceptable today and tomorrow it becomes unacceptable, then even if it was acceptable today, you need to go with the fact that it became unacceptable and be consistent with that. In other words, if a food wasn't a problem and it became a problem for you, if alcohol wasn't a problem and it became a problem, it can go from being acceptable to being unacceptable, and it's up to you to be consistent in your enforcement of that, okay? Be consistent. Security. We want to feel secure. We want to protect ourselves. We want to know that we're safe, right? So we want to be around loving, trusted people who can encourage us in positive ways and help us to feel safe. And we, in turn, have to know that we are there to show up and protect ourselves and take care of ourselves and make healthy choices for ourselves. When our parents took care of us and got us out of trouble or saved us or protected us, remember, like, don't run out in the street and they pull you back and you almost get run over by a car, that kind of stuff. You're like, I know my mom is there, and I'm going to work hard to listen to my mom next time, because, I almost got plowed over there. Same thing for us, right? If we know it's a problem, if you almost ran out in the middle of the street and got run over by a car, you pull yourself back and go, okay, all right, don't do that again, right? So security. Love. I just think a parent's job is love. Not only to just say it, but to show it, to demonstrate it, to model it, to live it, and to be it. And it's our job as we parent ourselves to love ourselves. We love our kids even when they mess up. even when they blow it, even when they make really unhealthy, damaging choices. We love them. Do we extend that same courtesy, that same measure of a mother's love, a father's love, unconditional love to ourselves? Chances are we don't. Chances are we write us off. Okay? So think about that. Reliability, be reliable. Know that you can depend on you. I can depend on me. I know that now. I am dependable. I am reliable. So you've got to be reliable to yourself. And the way in which you model that is you follow through on the things you said you'd do, and you do the things that you're capable of doing, which means sometimes you take risk and you get beyond your doubt, okay? Forgiveness. Got to forgive you. You got to forgive you, guys. This is poison. You know, they say not forgiving someone is like drinking poison and hoping someone else will get sick. It's like that. Okay, whatever you want to put with that. Forgiveness is something that we carry around that hurt, that if we don't forgive, we hurt ourselves. Okay? Forgive. I know a lot of people say, oh, I can never forget. Look, if it still has power over you, then maybe you have to work on that forgiveness a little more. And sometimes it's not a permanent thing. Sometimes it's a give and take. I forgive you. No, I don't. I forgive you. No, I don't. I forgive you. No, I don't. And it's something that you have to work on for a while until you finally say, yes, I'm ready to forgive now. Okay? Forgive you. I forgive me. I do. I forgive me, but my job is to not repeat the things for which I'm forgiving myself. And finally, honesty. Be honest. Be honest. Our kids want us to be honest. Our kids want us to show up and say, I blew it. I did not make the best decision there, and I am sorry, and I owe you an apology. Wow. Did your parent ever say they were sorry to you when you were growing up? There's so much power in owning your crap, guys. So own it with yourself. I'm sorry, me. I'm really sorry I wasn't there for me, me. All right? I'm sorry I was mean to you, me. I'm sorry I was abusive. I'm sorry I was inconsistent. I'm sorry I didn't believe in you, me. Okay? This is where it starts. And that's why I'm wondering, are you a flimsy parent? Are you a friendly parent? Are you firm? Are you fair? Where do you come down on this, you know? Yeah, I think sometimes we have to be friendly about it, okay? But not friendly to the point of not doing the right thing because we'd rather be a friend. And that's where that firm fairness comes in, with love and compassion and forgiveness and reliability and consistency. Okay, guys? So that's my message for the day. I hope that you can look at this and say, yep, this is just the kind of stuff that's been eating me up, and I have been trying to feed it and asking myself, why? Why am I doing this? Well, spend a little bit of time with you and see if any of this stuff resonates. And I'm going to let you go because, as usual, that was a lot of pages to get through. So I will look at your comments offline, and I thank you all for being here as ever. I really missed you guys yesterday. It's true. And I will look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow. So thank you all, and I invite you to please share this. Share this and get the message out. Yeah, it's December 1, okay? Today is December 1st, you guys. Am I going to see it through to the end of the year as much as possible? Well, we'll see. I tell you what, let's just take care of today. And today was a pretty good day. All right, you guys, have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, live your recovery. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.